The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by Lyman Frank Baum. Chapter 9. The Queen of the Field Mice. "We cannot be far from the road of yellow brick now," remarked the Scarecrow, as he stood beside the girl, "for we have come nearly as far as the river carried us away." The Tin Woodman was about to reply when he heard a low growl, and turning his head, which worked beautifully on hinges, he saw a strange beast coming bounding over the grass towards him. It was indeed a great yellow wildcat, and the Woodman thought it must be chasing something, for its ears were lying close to its head, and its mouth was wide open, showing 2 rows of ugly teeth, while its red eyes glowed like balls of fire. As it came nearer, the Tin Woodman saw that it was running before the beast was a little gray field mouse, and although he had no heart, he knew it was wrong for the wildcat to kill such a pretty, harmless creature. I'm going to skip this part because it's kind of gruesome, but the Tin Woodman saves the mouse by killing the wildcat. The field mouse now was freed from its enemy and stopped short. Coming up slowly to the Woodman, it said in a squeaky little voice, "Oh, thank you ever so much for saving my life." "Don't speak of it, I beg you," replied the Woodman. "I have no heart, you know, and I'm careful to help all those who may need a friend, even if it happens to be only a mouse." "Only a mouse!" cried the little animal indignantly. "Why, I am the queen of all the field mice." "Oh, indeed," said the Woodman, making a bow. "Therefore you have done a great deed, as well as a brave one, in saving my life," added the Queen. At that moment several mice were seen running up as fast as their little legs could carry them, and when they saw their Queen they exclaimed, "Oh, your Majesty, we thought you would be killed. How did you manage to escape the great wildcat?" They all bowed so low to the Queen that they almost stood upon their heads. "This funny Tin Man," she said, "killed the wildcat and saved my life, so hereafter you may all serve him and obey his slightest wish." "We will!" cried all the mice in a shrill voice, and then they scampered in all directions, for Toto had awakened from his sleep, and seeing all the mice round him, gave one bark of delight and jumped right into the middle of the group. And Toto always loved to chase mice when he was in Kansas, and saw no harm in it. But the Tin Woodman caught the dog in his arms and held him tight, while he called to the mice, come back! Toto shall not hurt you." At this the Queen of the Mice stuck her head out from underneath a clump of grass and asked in a timid voice, "Are you sure he will not bite us?" "I will not let him," said the Woodman, "so do not be afraid." One by one the mice came creeping back. Toto did not bark again, although he tried to get out of the Woodman's arms. He would have bitten him had he not known very well that he was made of tin. And finally one of the biggest mice spoke. "Is there anything we can do," it asked, "to repay you for saving the life of our Queen?" "Nothing that I know of," answered the Woodman, but the Scarecrow, who had been trying to think but could not because his head was stuffed with straw, said quickly, "Oh, yes, you can save our friend the cowardly lion who is asleep in the poppy bed." "A lion!" cried the Queen. "Why, he would eat us all up." "Oh, no," declared the Scarecrow, "this lion is a coward." "Really?" asked the mouse. "He says so himself," answered the Scarecrow. "He would never hurt anyone who is our friend, but if you will help us save him, I promise that he shall treat you with kindness." "Very well," said the Queen. "We trust you, but what shall we do? Are there many of these mice which call you Queen and will be willing to obey you?" "Oh, yes, there are thousands," she replied. "Then send for them all to come here as soon as possible, and let each one bring a long piece of string." The Queen turned to the mice that attended to her and told them all to go at once and get all her people. As soon as they heard her orders, they ran away in every direction as fast as possible. "Now," said the Scarecrow to the Tin Man, "you must go to those trees by the riverside and make a truck that will carry the lion." So the Woodman went at once to the trees and began to work, and he soon made a truck out of the limbs of the tree, from which he chopped away all the leaves and branches. He fastened it together with wooden pegs and made the 4 wheels out of short pieces of the big tree trunk. So fast and so well did he work that by the time the mice began to arrive, the truck was all ready for him. They came from all directions, and there were thousands of them, big mice and little mice and medium-sized mice, and each one brought a piece of string in his mouth It was about this time that Dorothy woke from her long sleep and opened her eyes. She was greatly astonished to find herself lying upon the grass with thousands of mice standing around looking at her timidly. But the Scarecrow told her about everything, and it turned to the dignified little mouse. He said, "Permit me to introduce Her Majesty the Queen." Dorothy nodded gravely, and the Queen made a curtsy, after which she became quite friendly with the little girl. The Scarecrow and the Woodman now began to fasten the mice to the truck using the strings they had brought. One end of the string was tied round the neck of each mouse, and the other to the truck. Of course, the truck was 1,000 times bigger than any of the mice who were to draw it, but when all the mice had been harnessed, they were able to pull it quite easily. Even the Scarecrow and the Tidman could sit on it. They were drawn swiftly by the queer little horses to the place where the lion lay asleep. After a great deal of hard work, for the lion was very heavy, they managed to get him up on the truck. And then the Queen hurriedly gave her people the order to start, for she feared if the mice stayed among the poppies too long they would all fall asleep. At first the little creatures, many though they were, could hardly stir the heavily loaded truck, but the Woodman and the Scarecrow both pushed from behind, and they got along better. Soon they rolled the lion out of the poppy bed to the green fields, where he could breathe the sweet fresh air again instead of the poisonous scent of the flowers. Dorothy came to meet them, and thanked the little mice warmly for saving her companion from death. As she had grown so fond of the lion, she was glad he had been rescued. Then the mice were unharnessed from the truck and scampered away through the grass to their homes. The Queen of the Mice was last to leave. "If you ever need us again," she said, "come out into the field and call, and we shall hear you and come to your assistance. Goodbye." "Goodbye," they all answered, and away the Queen ran, while Dorothy held Toto tightly lest he should run after her and frighten her. After this they sat down beside the lion until he should waken, and the Scarecrow brought Dorothy some fruit from a tree near by, which she ate for dinner.